What I've done to make it less rare, to make it easier for you to be radically candid, is to name the quadrants where you fail on one dimension or another, with some emotionally charged language. Now, when you fail on both dimensions, I call it manipulative insincerity, right? When you neither care nor challenge. So those are the mistakes that you can make in either political discourse or giving feedback at work. Now, in order to motivate each of these quadrants, I'm just going to tell you a few quick stories. Next, obnoxious aggression. I will tell you, I will assert for the record, I'm not an asshole, but I do occasionally behave like one. And I bet all of you have just occasionally done the same thing. So this also comes from a time shortly after I joined Google. Amazing I lasted there as long as I did. I had a disagreement with Larry Page about an AdSense policy. And I wrote an email to 30 people that said, Larry claims he wants to organize all the world's information, but if it'll make us a buck, he's willing to create clutter sites that muddle the world's information, right? Not my most politically astute move. Worth taking a second to understand why I did it. I did it because I believe there's a special place in hell for people who kiss up and kick down. But it doesn't mean doing the exact opposite makes a ton of sense either, right? Caring personally is something that you owe to every human being you interact with, either at work or in life. So that was my foray into obnoxious aggression. As with all things, the cover-up is worse than the crime. Larry didn't actually mind that. In fact, I learned later that he thought it was funny. But what happened next was where I got into real trouble. When instead of moving up on the care personally axis, I moved over in the wrong direction on the challenge directly axis. I bumped into Larry a couple of days later. A friend of mine was like, wow, that was pretty stupid, Kim. And so instead of looking into it and actually understanding the challenge that he had made and caring personally, I just went and said, I lied. I said, oh, Larry, I'm sorry about that email. I realize you're right, I'm wrong. And Larry's got a pretty good bullshit meter, and he kind of looks at me like I'm a pigeon that pooped on his shoulder and walks off. So a friend of mine patted me on the shoulder and said, he likes it better when you disagree with him. So don't move in the wrong direction when you realize you've been a jerk.
We've made it easier for you to give radically candid feedback by being really clear about what happens when you don't. And everyone's got stories like that. At the request of our bosses, Peter and I get into a room and we start to apologize. I go first. I apologize and I don't mean it. Worse, Peter knows I don't mean it. And just to keep it nice and ridiculous, I know Peter knows that I don't mean it. And so there we are, insincerely apologizing and insincerely accepting these insincere apologies. What the hell is the matter with us?